Hey, what's up guys? It's NuKastle here. Got a new tutorial for you guys. I'm going to be showing you a couple simple tips to make room in your mix. Here's what I have so far. I don't know why it always does that. Well, anyway, here's what I have so far. Take a listen. Okay, so it's just pretty straightforward, very simple. It's literally the stock kick, the stock snare, the stock hat. Did a little bit of side chaining. I show you guys how to do that with vocals in one of my other tutorials on how to make room for vocals in your mix. Here I'm going to be showing you how to make room for multiple elements. If you really, if you don't know how to sidechain, you want to learn how to do it, go take a look at that the vocal tutorial that I put up a few weeks ago. It's the exact same process. You can do it with kicks, you can do it with synths, you can do it with a lot of stuff. And here I just did it with the synths. You can also use like an LFO tool if you're making house. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. Basically, I'm just going to be showing you what I've done. It's really a really rough mix down. What I'm wanting to do is I want to bring out this pluck here. Let's take a listen to it on the pattern. That's what I want to bring out. This this right here, this synth thingy, it's a Harmer preset. It's kind of like a ravey, classic rave synth or whatever. That's all it is. So let's and the chords too. It's just give it some bass. Actually, need some structure to it. So I'm gonna take this down an octave. It's a little better. Maybe just punch up the velocity a hair. Good enough. Take a look at the EQ. Maybe. All right. So that's about how I want my chords to sound. But it's really drowning out the pluck. You can't really hear it that well. And I don't want to have to mess with the levels because if I punch it up too hard, it might affect my master in the end. So this is what I did. And it's really super straightforward, super easy, and you don't have to really punch up anything past like -3 decibels, honestly. You can kind of hear it. The chords are really drowning it out. And no matter how quiet my chords are, they're always going to be drowning out the pluck, which is what I want to bring out in the end. So what I did was I took these three synths, the pluck, the rave synth, and the chords, and I unchecked them from my master bus. As you can see, none of them are checked to my master bus. Then what I did was I took an empty bus and I renamed it to synths, and I rerouted these three to my synth bus. And I just did a couple things here. All I did was put an EQ, did a low cut, and just kind of touched up the high end a little bit. And then I EQ'd everything as one for peak control. And as you can see, I've made about 3 decibels of room just by lightly compressing the peaks. You can mess with the ratio a little bit if you want. You just want to touch the peaks barely. And it's not going to affect it a whole lot, but it does make room in your mix. And here's what else you can do. So I'm going to take my chords. Maybe the high end's a little too high on my chords, so let's bring these down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my pluck. I'm going to put an equalizer on it. I haven't done this yet. Do a quick low cut. It's the first thing you want to do. Always do a low cut. You don't want any unwanted frequencies in your mix, in the low end especially. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rise the high end up on my pluck. We got to figure out exactly where it's hitting hardest. So I'm going to go through here to my pluck. Listen to the pattern. Okay, it seems to have a really nice ring right about the 4 kilohertz to 8 kilohertz region. And it also had a nice punch to it right down in here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to boost it right about here and decrease this, and then I'm going to take that low end and increase the bandwidth just a little bit, right under 5 decibels here. Do the same with the high end. Since I was getting a nice sound between like 4 to 8 kilohertz, I'm going to boost it at 6, and then also going to increase the bandwidth. Maybe just a little bit more on the high end there. All right. You probably also go in here and see. You also mess with the preset. Usually presets have something that can brighten it up. But really all I wanted to do was brighten that up and then subtract it in my chords. And that made room for my pluck. Now you can hear the pluck a lot better, and I didn't really touch the mixer at all. All I did was do a little bit of creative EQing, some compressing. And what compressing is going to do to it is, well, when I compress this mix bus right here, when it's doing peak control, what it's doing is it's squashing the pluck on top of the chords. And so both the chords and the pluck are kind of, I don't really know how to say, equally, not necessarily equally, but they are squashed, so to speak. The gain's taken down on them, but at the same time, if the chords aren't as loud as the pluck, that means in the end the pluck is going to end up being a lot louder than your chords just by compressing them together in this bus. And since I raised the high end on my pluck, I'm going to have to lower the ratio and probably raise up the threshold on it. It's so much better. Didn't even really have to touch the mixer at all. I can even raise my chords back up, most likely. There it is. You can hear it in the high end a lot better. So basically, to summarize what I've said, this technique can be used to bring out certain elements in your mix. It can also be used to suppress certain elements in your mix where they're just kind of on the bottom, which is really what I'm doing with this synth right here. I don't want you to be able to hear this synth, but I want you to be able to feel it, so to speak, where it's there in the bottom of the mix, but it doesn't drown everything out because I bring them together and compress them. Now let's take the compressor off and see what that does to the mix. Now that's really starting to drown out the pluck. So let's turn the compressor back on just a hair. Okay, arguably there's just a little bit of a difference, but honestly, to an engineer, it does make quite a bit of a difference. So maybe I should compress my synth so it doesn't, or my rave synth so it doesn't get too loud in the end. Just kind of compress it up to that. All right, that's about how I want it now. Well, anyway, this is NuKastle with comprehensive tutorial on how to make room for elements in your mix. Hope you guys learned a lot. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment, email me, subscribe me, It's been nice talking to you guys.